Hey, how's it going? And welcome to Whisky Whims with me, Stuart. Today we're going to start a new series, a series of reviews, and it comes from this Cadenheads sample authentic collection cask strength summer 2 2023 tasting pack. This was sent to me by Jason. Most people in the whisky community will I don't know why I do that. Will know Jason for his efforts with the Glenmore website, his efforts on Dram Phase, his contributions to malt back in the day, and also his own reviews on his Instagram. So yeah, Jason kindly sent me this. I don't know what the script was. I don't know if he had a spare. I think he might have had a spare set. So I'm very grateful for that. So we'll get down to this and we'll have a look and see what's inside. I know Jason's reviewed some of these on his Instagram. But I don't know which ones because he's reviewed a couple authentic releases and they're kind of, I've not really delved into them too much. I've seen a couple of his reviews, but obviously on Instagram it doesn't always pop up and show everything, so you have to kind of go trawling, which I haven't done yet because I didn't want to spoil my reviews. So we've got, I'll start at number one. There's some mental ones in here. We've got Glenfarclas 20-year-old. We have a 14-year-old Glenfarclas, a 15-year-old Fetter Cairn, a 5-year-old Indiana Rye, a 34-year-old Strathclyde, a 12-year-old Glenburgie, a 14-year-old Manic Moor, and a 29-year-old Ardbeg. So I'm going to go 1 to 8 and review them that way. We've got a tasting card here as well. I'm not going to look at that just now. I'll do my tasting first, then I'll look at it. So I'm going to start 1 to 8. I believe Jason done A. He went from alphabetic, so he started at A, which would have been Ardbeg, but I'm going to start at Glenfarclas 21-year-old.
What? Bro, what are you talking about, man?
Glenfarclas, that was really weird if I said that. Glenfarclas 20-year-old, which is number 1. I'm only going to pour, I have to put these weird stoppers in them. I'm only going to pour a little bit, because I kind of want to, I'll maybe pour about half, because I want to explore these a little bit on my own, and compile some notes and also see what water does to them. I maybe should have done that prior to doing this, but I really needed content, so so there you go. But we'll get down to this and we'll see if the 20-year-old is a Whisky Win or a Whisky Bin. I'll go into the pricing because I don't want to look at the card too much to reveal any notes or to influence my tasting notes. So I'm pretty sure the ABV, because the ABV is not on here, I'm pretty sure the ABV is on the card and the price is on the card, so we'll look into that once I've done my tasting notes. So the nose, like I said as well, I would have rather had, it's difficult to judge samples, I feel. I've said this plenty of times, that's why I like buying bottles. I like samples because you can spread the cost and you can get things for cheaper and you get a little insight into the whiskey, but I really feel a full bottle or even at least like 100ml is enough to appreciate. I don't think samples are enough to fully engage with a whiskey, but we can do with what we've got. So the nose, it's punchy. I'm going to definitely guess it says cask strength version, so it's definitely over 46. There's like a lot of, it smells quite similar to like a white wine. I feel like there's a lot of kind of white fleshy fruits here. There's definitely pears, like there's a lot of pear. There's porridge oats. I don't know if I should add water to these. I probably should, but I don't want to have these reviews be too long. There should have been a better way of saying that. I don't want these reviews to be lengthy. Yeah, porridge oats. It's quite fresh. It's quite vibrant. There's possibly some melon as well. Like I said, kind of white fruit, white fleshy fruit. It's interesting because it's a Glenfarclas. Why did I say class? A Glenfarclas. And I've had some Glenfarclas. I've had like a 21-year-old, I've had a 25-year-old, I've had the 175 anniversary, 185 anniversary, the 105 cask strength. I've had a lot of Glenfarclas. It's a whiskey that's quite readily available for me, one that I can easily access, but I've never had a bourbon version. And I don't believe they allow their name to be tainted by these pesky independent bottlers too often, so it's surprising to see Cadenhead being allowed to use them. I wonder what deal's going on there, what the script is with that. I feel like this cream soda, kind of giving it a little bit of a fizziness. But yeah, it's not amazing on the nose. It's nice enough, but it almost feels a bit young. And it's 20-year-old, it's mental. But I don't know if it's because of that freshness, because of that vibrance, there just feels something a little, I don't want to say lacking, it doesn't feel this old, it feels very, I don't know, I don't even want to say active, it's weird, it's just weird. The palate. It's not like any Glenfarclas I've ever had before, because it's all sherry. Sliced or slices of green apples. There's a lot of, like I said in the nose, that porridge oats. There's like more of that oatiness here, and it reminds me of kind of like Hobnobs, the biscuits. There's definitely more pears. There's melon now as well in the palate. It's a little peppery, just a touch, or maybe that's more in the finish. I feel like I was getting that at the end of the whiskey. Yeah, we'll leave that. It's maybe not in the palate. I mean, palate and finish are almost the same thing anyway. But yeah, there's like this, I want to say synthetic or artificial. It reminds me of, and I don't do this often. I used to do it at work. When we like ran out of like little sugar sachets, I'd use sweetener instead. Those little one-click ones, and it reminds me of that. It reminds me when I made my tea with sweetener. You're getting that kind of artificial sweetener taste. Yeah, it's. I don't know how to describe it other than weird. It's quite a weird whiskey. It doesn't perform as a 20-year-old Glenfarclas. It doesn't perform as a 20-year-old. It doesn't perform as a Glenfarclas. And the reason it doesn't perform as a Glenfarclas is because it's not sherried. This might have benefited for a little bit of sherry. It'd be interesting to try more bourbon Glenfarclas to see what that's like. There's maybe a reason they sherry their whiskey. Maybe their spirit is just this a little too underdeveloped. I don't know. That might sound a bit harsh. I'm not a blender or a master distiller. The finish, I've got a fruit fly. It's that time of year again. The finish is medium. It's more kind of, I'm so annoyed about this fruit fly. It's more oaty again, but this time I want to say digestive biscuits. I know there's not much discretion between hobnobs and digestive biscuits, but just go with me. Maybe more melon again. It's quite consistent with the white fleshy fruit that I said in the nose. There's a little bit of, yeah, white pepper. I said white pepper in the palate earlier, but I want to say that's in the finish instead. I don't think it's that sweet. The only thing that was sweet was the cream soda. I mean, obviously fruits are sweet, but these are quite like kind of subtle, quite light fruits. I feel like white fruit isn't always the sweetest of fruits, or I don't feel it is. But yeah, maybe, yeah, I don't know. I think that's all I'm getting on this. It's not anything spectacular. Before I conclude, I think you know my thoughts on it anyway, but before I conclude, I'm going to look at the notes here. I'm going to try and cover the bottom notes of the Glenfarclas, even though when I go to review that, I'll probably forget anyway, or I might review that right after this. But anyway, so Glenfarclas 20-year-old, 51.8% ABV, £135. We'll talk about it after the tasting. So it's a bourbon hogshead, the nose, green apples, poached pears, freshly cut grass. Yeah, so I was definitely getting, I think I got apples in the palate, but not in the nose. This is the nose, but definitely pears for sure. I feel like that's quite a strong scent there. And freshly cut grass. I didn't really pick up the grass, but I feel like I always think of grass and link it to young whiskies for some reason. Taste, gooseberries, golden syrup and subtle spice. White pepper, I suppose, is a subtle, but gooseberries and golden syrup, I did not get that sweet, that golden syrup kind of sweetness of this whiskey. Maybe honey, but gooseberries, no, I wouldn't. I see golden syrup as a real kind of really sugary. Maybe the sweetener, because I don't know how artificial golden syrup is, but I suppose I got artificial sweetener. But I see golden syrup as a real kind of sticky, kind of sickly sweet consumable. What would you call that? Condiment or accompaniment? Anyway, ingredient. Anyway, I see that as quite sweet and quite in your face. This isn't that sweet. Finish, lemon zest. No, I didn't get much citrus there. There is that freshness and that kind of vibrant, bright element to it. So that could be a kind of lemony aspect, but I've not picked that up specifically. Oat biscuits and heather honey. So oat for sure is there. It's quite consistent throughout that dram, and it's quite nice, quite a pleasant taste. And the honey, what did they say? Heather honey. Yeah, okay, whatever. So we'll get down to the conclusion. So it's 20-year-old, it's £135, which, sorry, I just burped. I think if you're going into this looking at that, saying like, oh, Glenfarclas, 135-year-old, 20-year-old, 135-year-old, Jesus, £135, 20-year-old, high ABV, what was it, 51.8? 51.8, that seems quite good on paper, but I don't think it correlates to the experience I've had. Like I said, I'm going to have a little bit more time with this, put water in it, and if my thoughts change I will comment on that, but it seems quite, I can't see my thoughts changing too much. I don't think the water will help this. Sometimes if it feels a little restrained, the water can open it up, but this didn't feel restrained, it feels quite kind of solid as it is. So yeah, £135 on paper looks okay, but the taste is a bit different. So we'll get down to the way I rate my whiskies, and obviously it's a little bit different because I've not had a full bottle, so don't completely take my word for it, because it might be different with a full bottle, more time in the glass, more air. I've kind of just went straight into this and rushed it a little. So do I think it's worth £135? I think on paper, as I've said, yes. I think from the experience, no, I would not buy a bottle of this at £135. Although I didn't buy it, would I buy it again? That's a no as well. I just wouldn't want to go near this. It's not a bad whiskey. It's fine, but it's a little pricey. I'd say it's average. I'd say it's an average whiskey, but I'd expect better from a 20-year-old Glenfarclas. Would I recommend it? Yeah, I always try to recommend whiskey because it might hit someone differently. They might enjoy it better and it might spark something different in them. Although I've not enjoyed it as much, like I said, I think it's an average whiskey, someone else might enjoy it a lot more. So I would recommend it, and it's something quite different from Glenfarclas that you're not going to get elsewhere. Or you might not know that it's Glenfarclas because of the bourbon aspect. Unfortunately on this one, for me, the price and the experience, it's a whiskey bin, but that's just one. We'll get down to the second one, and we'll see how that is next week, but for me it'll be right after this because I'm on a bit of a jolly now. So so thanks for watching. I've been Stuart, this has been Whisky Wins. I'll see you later.